Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking into something a little unexpected. Two things, really.
Yeah, we've got the simple joy of hanging out with friends, outside,
Right, in the great outdoors.
and then this really fascinating pull we sometimes feel towards, well, sad music when we're not exactly on top of the world.
Okay, so quite the pairing. What sources are we diving into?
Well, we've got a fantastic article from Teen Vogue. It's packed, and I mean packed, with suggestions, 65 fun things to do outside with friends.
65. Okay, that's comprehensive. A go-to guide for shaking off the indoors, then.
Exactly. And then, sort of shifting gears completely, we're looking at an article from Cohawk.tv. The title translates roughly to, Why Do We Listen to Sad Music When We Are Sad?
So digging into the psychology behind those melancholic tunes.
Precisely. It looked at why we're drawn to them.
Okay, let's unpack this intriguing combination, because, I mean, on the surface, it feels like apples and oranges, doesn't it?
It really does. One's all about sunshine, activity, making memories out in the physical world.
Yeah, with your friends.
And the other is this very internal experience, right?
Yeah.
Navigating our emotions through sound.
So our goal today is maybe to see if there are some surprising common threads.
Exactly. And maybe give you, the listener, a fresh perspective on your own well-being and how you engage with, well, both the world around you and maybe your inner feelings.
What's fascinating, I think, is how both these seemingly different paths, actively engaging outdoors and maybe more passively listening to sad music, how they can both be powerful tools.
For our emotional health, yeah. The Teen Vogue piece really hits home the importance of breaking free from our usual indoor routines.
Getting out.
Getting out. It argues that getting fresh air, sharing experiences outside with friends, it isn't just fun, it's actually like a key ingredient for boosting our mood.
And creating those memories we actually cherish, right?
Absolutely.
And what really struck me about that Teen Vogue article was just the sheer breadth of ideas. It's not just, the usual suspects like biking or picnics. Those are great, too.
Oh, definitely not. It really spans a huge range of interests and energy levels.
Okay, so where does it really shine? What are some of the more imaginative ideas?
Well, it gets pretty creative. Take the idea of creating a mini nature zine with friends.
A zine. Okay, tell me more.
So what's insightful here is how it encourages a more active, almost mindful way of experiencing nature. It's not just being there.
Right, it's observing.
Exactly. Observing the details, textures of leaves, bird sounds, and then creatively documenting it.
And doing it together adds that social layer, that shared appreciation.
For the local environment. It's pretty neat.
I love that. And the idea of visiting public sculpture gardens, that feels like a brilliant way to soak in culture, art.
But in a more relaxed setting than a stuffy museum, maybe.
Exactly. More open, literally, plus a great conversation starter, I imagine.
For sure. And then you have something like geocaching.
Ah, yes, the treasure hunt thing.
Yeah, the key insight there is how it kind of gamifies exploration. It turns familiar places into this tech-driven adventure.
It's a clever way to inject some excitement into your local area, find hidden spots.
Spots you might otherwise just walk right past.
And fruit picking. Who would have thought of that as a, group hangout?
Right. But it's so sensory, connects you to the seasons where food comes from.
And let's be honest, walking away with fresh strawberries or apples is a pretty great bonus.
Can't argue with that. It highlights how even everyday things can become engaging social experiences.
With just a little intention.
Precisely. And the article even ventures into some, well, truly unconventional territory, like suggesting respectful exploration of local cemeteries.
Okay, wait, cemeteries. That definitely made me pause when I read it.
Me too.
Oh.
But the article points out, older cemeteries can be surprisingly peaceful, beautiful spaces.
Full of history, unique architecture.
Right. And the idea of turning it into a game like finding the oldest birthday inscribed adds this quirky but still respectful way to connect with the past.
And maybe reflect on, the passage of time. It offers a different lens, certainly.
It does. Then there's urban foraging.
Okay, this sounds interesting, but maybe a bit risky.
It taps into this growing interest in identifying edible wild plants. But, and this is crucial, the article rightly emphasizes the absolute necessity of expert guidance.
Right. This is not something to just dabble in without knowing exactly what you're doing.
Absolutely not. We don't want anyone accidentally,
Yeah.
But with the right expert, it could be an incredibly rewarding way to connect with nature in the city.
Learn about the resources right around us.
Okay. And on the simpler end of things.
The suggestion of starting a weekly walk club really resonated. It's so easy to get stuck indoors.
Tell me about it.
And just having that regular outdoor meetup with friends, even if it's just a walk and a chat, it seems like such a simple, effective way to stay connected.
And get some fresh air, some movement. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sometimes the simplest habits have the biggest impact.
Definitely. And the article keeps going, more adventurous ideas like chasing waterfalls, which highlights the beauty, the soundscapes of nature, while wisely including safety reminders. Very important near waterfalls.
Essential. And for those looking for something a bit more mystical,
Oh,
they even suggest a full moon ritual night.
wow. Okay. That's certainly a unique way to connect with friends and the cosmos outdoors.
It really shows the sheer variety, right?
Yeah.
Catering to everything from seeking tranquility to embracing adventure. They also mention things like hot air balloon festivals,
Visually spectacular, less frequent events to maybe seek out.
outdoor movies for that nostalgic social vibe.
And even just elevating a simple meal by having rooftop dinners, changing the scenery.
The list is huge. Dog parks, even if you don't have a dog.
Just for some low-pressure social interaction, and, I mean, who doesn't love watching puppies play?
Exactly. Then there's forest bathing, Shinrin-yoku.
Right. This is more mindful.
At its core, yeah.
Yeah.
It's about intentionally immersing yourself in the forest atmosphere. The key insight is actively engaging your senses, noticing the smells, sounds, the feel of the air.
And this triggers a physiological relaxation response, lowering stress.
That's the idea. Lowering stress hormones, boosting mood. It's a reminder that being outdoors isn't just about physical activity.
It's about mindful presence, too, and its direct impact on well-being. Okay? Then there's flannering.
Flânering, this lovely French idea of just wandering aimlessly, experiencing familiar places with fresh eyes.
Like strolling through your neighborhood without a destination, just noticing things.
Exactly. The architecture you usually miss, small interactions, how the light hits a building. It's about slowing down, being present.
Shifting your perspective, finding beauty in the everyday. I like that.
Me too. The list keeps rolling. Botanical gardens for year-round nature.
Outdoor meditation, making it accessible.
Even simple things like making art under a tree, combining relaxation and creativity.
They have our winter, too.
Yep. Snowshoeing, a unique sensory experience gliding over snow.
Yeah.
Then back to community stuff. Farmers markets.
Vibrant hubs, local goods, social interaction.
Architecture tours seeing our built environment historically. Flea markets for the thrill of discovery.
Finding unique stuff. And seeking out street art, turning urban exploration into a creative treasure hunt.
And of course, the rewarding act of planting a garden. Connecting with that cycle of nature.
It truly is a comprehensive collection, from nostalgic drive-ins
To playful recreational sports, roller skating.
simple picnics, community volunteering outdoors,
The surprising engagement of bird watching. The awe of stargazing.
childlike fun with sidewalk chalk art, invigorating hikes,
Outdoor workouts. Just appreciating a sunrise or sunset.
and they even get into more playful stuff like water balloon fights.
And miniature golfing. Plus, more explorative options visiting state and national parks, wildlife refuges.
Highlighting those protected areas, their unique features.
Which really just emphasizes that fun outdoor activities is so subjective, right? It
Yeah.
can be adventure, relaxation, creativity, social connection.
Or even contributing to something bigger.
Exactly. Bike riding, amusement parks, outdoor photo shoots, local festivals.
Even flying a drone for a different perspective.
Oh.
Planting a tree for the long term.
The peacefulness of fishing, collaborative scavenger hunts.
It really underscores the incredible diversity of ways we can interact with the world outside our walls. Horseback riding,
Outdoor concerts,
Look.
whimsical garden-themed tea parties.
the simple pleasure of dining al fresco at a restaurant, DIY Polaroid photo walks,
The focus of archery, landscape painting, immersive sound baths in nature.
sound baths in nature. That sounds incredibly restorative, and more community ideas like volunteering at a community garden.
Fostering connection and purpose. And who wouldn't enjoy creating an outdoor obstacle course?
Unleashing your inner child, or even just taking time for some bug watching, observing that tiny world.
Which highlights finding wonder in overlooked details.
Sure.
And they even throw in more introspective things like sidewalk tarot readings.
Okay.
And the wonderfully quirky idea of doing a mini field study on something totally random. Just observing and documenting something that catches your eye.
Wow. Okay, so that's a fantastic whirlwind of ideas for getting outside with friends. Now let's make that seemingly sharp turn.
Right. Into the second part of our deep dive. This curious phenomenon of why we sometimes seek out sad music when we're, well, already feeling down.
This is where that Koahawk.tv article, Taisao Kibon Langen Jakbon, Offers some really insightful perspectives, I think.
It really does. It tackles this apparent paradox. Why choose melancholic tunes when you're already sad? It challenges that gut feeling that sad music just makes things worse.
Right, it feels counterintuitive. Your instinct might be, put on something upbeat, try and lift your spirits.
But this article points to research suggesting that sometimes the opposite can actually be, well, beneficial.
Hmm, beneficial how?
Well, the article references a pretty compelling study. It was published in PLOS One by Lila Tarufi and Stefan Kolsch at the Free University of Berlin.
Okay. And what makes it significant?
It was large scale. They surveyed over 700 people globally, and their findings were quite surprising to many. Listening to sad music can actually have a positive impact. It can help generate feelings of happiness.
Wow. Okay, that definitely goes against common assumptions. So what's the explanation? Why this strange attraction to sad songs when we're feeling blue?
The research pinpointed four key reasons. The first is connection.
Connection, okay.
When we listen to sad music, we often identify with the emotions in the melody or lyrics. It's that feeling of, wow, this artist gets what I'm going through.
That sense of shared experience, feeling understood.
Exactly. And that can be incredibly powerful. It can help release negative emotions, help us reframe our own feelings. It's like finding a voice for your sadness outside yourself.
That makes perfect sense. It's validating. I'm not alone in feeling this. What's the second reason?
The second is the message. Sometimes when we're sad, we're actually looking for meaning, for perspective on our own emotions.
Oh, okay.
And sad songs can offer relatable narratives, insights into those feelings. And surprisingly, this can actually lead to a sense of positivity, like finding understanding or even hope within the sadness.
Interesting. So it's not just about wallowing, it's about potentially gaining clarity. What's number three?
Number three is distraction. The aesthetic qualities, the beauty of the melody, the poetry of the lyrics can actually divert our attention away from our negative feelings, at least for a bit.
Like a temporary escape provided by the music itself.
Right. But the article does add an important caveat here. Relying too heavily on this as your main coping mechanism, that might indicate avoidance, maybe signal underlying emotional challenges.
That's a really important distinction. Helpful short-term reprieve, maybe, but not a long-term strategy on its own. And the fourth reason.
The fourth is memory evocation. Sad music often triggers memories, past sadness, people, events.
Right. Music is so tied to memory.
Exactly. Now, this might not directly lead to positive emotions like the others, but it can facilitate reflection, emotional release, especially when processing grief or a breakup.
Like revisiting those memories in a safe, maybe cathartic space created by the music.
Precisely. Engaging with and potentially processing those past experiences through the music's emotional resonance.
Now, the article also mentioned that the negative impact of listening to sad music might be less common than we think.
Yes, that's a key takeaway from the research. They found only about 25% of people actually reported feeling sadder after listening to sad music.
Only a quarter. What did the others feel?
The majority experienced a range of other emotions, and nostalgia was the most frequently reported one.
Nostalgia. And according to the article, nostalgia can actually have positive psychological benefits.
That's right. Research suggests it can be quite powerful. It can increase feelings of social connectedness, reduce anxiety, even boost self-esteem.
Wow. So those bittersweet memories evoked by sad music can actually provide comfort, a sense of grounding.
It seems so. It's fascinating, isn't it?
It really is. So being moved by sad music might actually indicate something positive about our emotional capacity, like empathy.
Exactly. The article suggests that being moved by sad music can be linked to higher levels of empathy and something called emotional contagion. It implies music acts as a kind of emotional bridge.
Allowing us to understand and share in the broad spectrum of human emotions.
It's like a reminder, perhaps, that we're not alone in our sadness, that these are shared human experiences connecting us.
Despite feeling isolated sometimes, others have navigated similar emotional landscapes, fostering connection.
Precisely. And sometimes, consciously choosing to listen to sad music, that can actually be a form of self-care.
That's a really insightful point the article makes, allowing ourselves to acknowledge, to process difficult emotions through music rather than suppressing them.
It can be a powerful act of self-care, giving ourselves permission to feel the full range.
Okay. However, there is an important note of caution in there, especially for individuals struggling with depression.
Yes, that's crucial. The article highlights that people experiencing depression might tend to ruminate on negative experiences.
And repeated exposure to intensely sad music could potentially worsen those feelings.
It's a possibility, yeah.
Mm.
However, it also mentions that some individuals with depression actually find the melodies calming, even mood lifting. So,
It's very nuanced, very individual.
absolutely. It depends on the person and their relationship with the music.
Okay, so we've explored these two seemingly distinct realms, the active social world of outdoor adventures and this more internal emotional experience with sad music. How do we start connecting these dots?
Well, what's interesting is that both can contribute significantly to our emotional well-being, just in different ways, right?
Right. Outdoor activities elevate mood through physical stuff, fresh air, social interaction.
As Teen Vogue showed so vividly, and conversely, as Kohawk.tv explained, sad music can offer comfort, validation, a means of emotional release and processing.
And it strikes me too that so many of those outdoor activities are inherently social. They foster connection.
Mm-hmm. But even sharing a particularly moving, sad song with a friend, discussing your response that can deepen bonds, too.
That's true. And thinking about some of the more mindful outdoor activities like forest bathing or even creating that nature zine.
There's a parallel there, isn't there, to how we might mindfully listen to and reflect on the emotions evoked by sad music.
Both encourage a deeper engagement with our surroundings, whether they're external or internal.
Exactly.
So perhaps there's a kind of balance to be found between actively seeking joyful, connecting experiences outdoors.
And also allowing ourselves the space to feel and process the whole spectrum of emotions, sometimes finding solace and understanding in music that reflects where we are emotionally.
That's a really insightful way to frame it, recognizing that both outward engagement and inward reflection have valuable roles in maintaining our overall emotional equilibrium.
Yeah, it's not necessarily either.
Right. So, to bring it all together, we've done this deep dive into this incredible array of ways to get outside, connect with friends, highlighting the potential for fun, adventure, boosting well-being.
And we've explored the surprising power of sad music, uncovering those fascinating reasons why we might be drawn to melancholic tunes, how they can offer comfort, connection, even a pathway to a different kind of happiness.
So, as you, our listener, go through your week, maybe consider how you might intentionally weave more outdoor experiences into your routine.
Perhaps try one of those diverse activities from the Teen Vogue list. Or simply make a conscious effort to spend more time in natural spaces with people you enjoy.
And also, maybe take a moment to reflect on your own relationship with music. How do you use it to navigate and understand your emotions?
Yeah, and it might even be interesting to consider, is there a particular outdoor activity that somehow resonates with a song you find deeply moving? What's that connection like for you?
Food for thought and for further exploration.
Well, the Teen Vogue article, as we said, is packed with specific ideas. Go check it out. And the PLOS-1 study referenced in the Coahawks.tv article offers a much deeper dive into the science of music and emotion if you're curious.
And you could always explore local parks, green spaces in your own community, or just reflect on the playlists you create during different emotional states.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive today.
We really hope it's offered you some surprising insights, maybe some inspiration for both your outdoor adventures and your appreciation for that complex, powerful connection between music and our inner lives.